On me there. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Nick Baldwin here, co-founder of Lab Code Agents. We got Gus here, CEO of PowerISA, and we're going to talk about cold calling. Well, I mean, not necessarily cold calling. We're going to talk about calling and how you should just stop. Just don't make the calls. Stop making those calls. Don't do it because you can get an ISA to do that. And if you want, we didn't get into this business to set appointments. We got into this business to go on them. So let's talk about the top ways that agents are finding sellers using ISAs to prospect homeowners. And you're not going to have to cold call anymore. And you can do what's best for you talking to motivated buyers and sellers. So stop right there. Put the phone down. Don't make the calls. Right, Gus?
Well, I 100%, and I put it this way, Nick, right? Because as real estate agents, right? Because I was agent for a long time, and we're asked to put on many hats. Okay,
Yeah.
you've got to be the negotiator, then you got to be the customer care specialist. You got to be the driver, the chauffeur for a lot of people. You've got to be customer service, great at that, and you got to put on the telemarketer hat, and you got to put on the appointment setter hat, and you got to be at the listing presentation, be a great presenter. So there's all these different parts of it that we have to be great at. And my only argument is, right, when you're getting started, you got to do it all. There's no other way. There's just no way. If you're a brand new agent and you want to hire an ISA, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that's not your first hire. It's not the first thing you should do. Probably it's too early for you, right? But if you are closing deals, right, you're making some progress, getting some traction, and calling is a big part of your business, that is something you can hand off, right? You can add leverage to a system like that. And I want to, specifically talk about, cold calling, prospecting today, because I think it would be surprising for a lot of people to realize that it still works and it can be an effective way. Because a lot of agents, Nick, started their business cold calling, like a lot of them, right? And as soon as they could, they stopped doing it. Like, oh my God, right? Because it's not easy to do. It's a grind.
It's tough, man. A lot of rejection.
Yeah, 100%. So the model I'm going to talk about today is this. Instead of you as an agent doing 1, 2, or 3 hours of cold calling every single day, right? And, having your soul crushed at the end and just wanted to avoid it every single day, I would change the model, okay? I'm proposing something different. I'm proposing you hire an ISA to do the 300 calls. So you're not going to completely get rid of the phone, Nick, 100%. But instead of making the 300 calls, you have to make 3 calls. Because out of those 300, let's call them expired, old expired leads, there's probably 3 of them that have to talk to you right now. Okay. 3 of them should have a conversation with you right now because they're going to be listing in January and February in the spring, right? But that's, we're 90 days away from that. Okay. Like that's now business. People kind of can forget that. Like that is now business. You should be talking to them today. So my proposal is don't make the 300 calls. Have an ISA help you do that, but make the 3 calls. And they should be giving you 3 people every single day, right? Like it's 3, then it's 6, 9, 12. Like it should be increasing. You should have a pipeline of people because some of them, Nick, it's going to be, so this is the funny thing, right? I get into debates with some of the cold calling coaches and the gurus out there. I tell them once the lead has been generated, whether you're paying Zillow or realtor.com or Google, or you're paying an ISA to generate it from cold calling, once that lead has been generated, your job as an agent is to not be the caller. It's to be the closer, okay? Stop being the caller, start being the closer, because it's your job to connect with them. And that game is surprisingly the same, Nick, whether the lead came from Zillow or Realtor or cold calling or prospecting or whatever. Once you've connected with them, it's game on. You got to make that connection. You've got to get in front of them somehow, right? Whether it's going to go preview the home or go on a showing, it's a buyer focused lead, go on a showing with them, like get in front of them and start building that relationship. Once the lead has been generated, the game is kind of the same. And some people will debate me on that. Some people will accept that. I found it to be true because I did it all. I did Zillow. I did Google pay-per-click. I did Meta. This was years ago, early Meta. It was not that great. And I did Circle Prospect, and I did expired. I did it all of them. And once the lead had been generated for me, it was the same challenge with every single one of those leads. It was a motivated buyer or seller, right? And I had to make a connection with them and take them to the finish line, right? But I'm proposing here a different way to do it, where you don't have to pay Zillow or Google or Meta or any one of these other, toll booths, call them that, on the internet. You can go out to your local community and find these people on your own, right? And like you own them. And so instead of paying Zillow, if it's a premier lead, like $600, $700 per lead, right? Why don't you spend, let's say, $30 per lead, $25 per lead, right? Because the challenge is going to be really, really similar. You've got to connect with them. You've got to, and this is the difference between a lead generated by one of these online lead generation sources versus a prospecting lead. They're only handed off to you, Nick, if they actually pick up the phone and are willing to have a conversation. That's the only reason. Those leads from the portals are the most expensive ones. The ones that are responsive and they vetted them on the phone and they're handing them off to you. Those leads are adequately priced at about 30 to 40% of your commission check, right? Because they know how valuable those connections can be, okay? So if you've got your own lead generation machine, an ISA, handing off responsive, motivated buyers and sellers, like that is like your, I don't want to call it a mini Zillow, that's not what it is, but you've got your own lead generation system you can leverage, and that's what I want to talk about today, okay? So let's move on to the next one. So jumping into it. So I've got this video I want to show you. This is from Ricky Caruth, really smart guy. He built his entire business on prospecting. Now he does more things, but from when he got started, he would just do, I think it was Circle, not even expired on Facebook. He would start with Circle Prospect, right, in Alabama. That's where he started. I want to show this video real quick. And actually, okay, so I am not seeing it here. So I'm going to speed pass. So I'm going to summarize what Ricky said on this video because it's not working right now. But here's the thing. He said the first thing he did, once he got some traction, once he got success, he hired someone to cold call for him. And he hasn't made a lot of content around that. He's not an ISA guy, right? But he didn't call him an ISA. So I hired a guy to help me call. That was I hired a guy. And he was able to get, at first, 2 or 3 additional transactions per month, right? This is Ricky. And then it got to 4, then it got to 8, then it got to double digits. Because all that Ricky needed was more people to talk to, okay? And it was really hard. It was really time consuming for him to make more calls to bring more people into this pipeline. So he said hiring a guy helped change his business. And he also said something really interesting too, Nick. He said that once he had someone helping him make the calls, he actually became a happier person because it's hard to cold call every day. Like it's not easy to do, right? It's not an easy thing to do, right? He said he would attend his listing appointments with a completely different vibe, okay? He said he was more detached from the outcome because he was just less in the grind. He would perform better at his listing appointments because he wasn't like, number one, exhausted from calling all day. And he was just more focused on the listing appointment and getting the listing and providing value. And since he knew he was going to get an appointment the next day, no matter what, right, that's how he felt. He was way more confident, detached from the outcome, and his closing rate went up, right? Because he was more focused on that seller, not on the 57 rejections he got that day, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, this is not easy to do, okay? It's not easy to do. But if you can find a way to make it work, I think it's still the most effective way to talk to motivated sellers, especially sellers, people like homeowners, right? Because, the whole buyer and seller distinction matters a lot less when you're just talking to a homeowner. What is it? 30% of buyers have a home they have to sell, right? So are they a buyer or are they a seller? Well, how are you having the conversation with them? Because when you talk to a homeowner, it's, no one wakes up, Nick, like wanting to sell their home. Oh, it's great that, man, how's the market doing? I want to sell my home today. No, man, they don't. They're thinking about the destination, about the end result, right? And I have a strong belief. The real estate agent that can make it about the destination and the holiday is going to win with them because guess what? No one goes on vacation to go to the airport, right? Get in line at TSA. Like I was at TSA lines, Nick, during the government shutdown. Not a fun place to be. Newsflash, right? Not fun. So it's not about the airport and checking in and the security lines. And it's not like that's not what it's about. That's our job, but that's not what it's about. It's about the destination. So talking to buyers or sellers, like find the angle, but talk to homeowners is the most valuable thing you can do. Talking to homeowners that are thinking of relocating, that would solve 99% of most agents' problems. They're just not talking to enough homeowners every single day. Okay. All right. Let me jump into it. Why? So does cold calling still work? Because, Nick, I'm not, I have an iPhone. I've got, what is it? The iOS, whatever version came out this month. I just got it pushed down to me last night. Oh, well, like as soon as iOS 14 came out, this was a few years ago, they said cold calling's over. Like it is gone. We got all this technology, shaken and stir protocol. We got all this, compliance, all these things. And compliance is real. Dialer compliance, calling list compliance. We had all these rules come down the pipe a couple of years ago, and it felt like they all hit at once. And I'll be honest with you, I'm one of those guys that, you know what, I think in a year or two, cold calling's over. And I wasn't the only one. Like a lot of the coaches, like the Rickies and the Brandon Morenas, they pivoted to other lead services. Like Brandon, who's a huge cold caller, said, hey, I'm going to start talking about YouTube, how to generate leads with content. Because I think cold calling's on its way out. Well, guess what, Nick? 2025 comes around, and I have never seen so many agents be successful with prospecting. Okay. Like I have been doing this for 10 years. I've been doing it for 10 years. And why is that happening? Why is that different? Again, I'm not smart enough to tell you exactly what it is. I feel, Nick, that a lot of people give up on cold calling in a lot of industries, not just real estate. They just gave up on it. It got harder to do. Like, oh, this is never going to work. This is hard. And I don't know, maybe the people that are left are just having more success. They're able to talk to more people per hour of calling. That's my theory. That's what I'm going with right now. But to be super honest with you, it's not super clear to me why this is still working in 2025. Like that is, but it is. I'm not a headline reader. I don't go with what the gurus are saying. I look at results on the ground. Like, where is that? And the results on the ground, and I'll show you a few examples, like, is that it still works, okay? Is that it still works. And it is still, I would argue, the fastest way, the most consistent way to talk to qualified homeowners that are thinking of selling and talk to them every day. Not many lead sources can do that, okay? And I do this a lot. I work with, we have, 150, almost 200 clients per PowerISA. And I can see every lead source you can imagine, Nick. Postcards and, internet, every single internet lead provider you can imagine. And some of them I'm under NDA, so I can't exactly say what they're doing. But like they're every lead source you can imagine. Every single one, we've got it, right? And I look at all the kinds of cold calling. Like some things are just wild, right? Because they're just doing prospecting and they just want to talk to potential sellers. I look at it all. And 2025, the ones that have gotten the most outsized returns are the prospectors. It's just the biggest return on investment, the biggest home runs, my best case studies, call it that, right, have been from cold calling. Not that Zillow's, Google PPC, not that they don't work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the biggest wins came from people doing prospecting because it's the highest ROI, right? You don't have an intermediary, selling you qualified seller leads. You're generating them. You're making them, right? You're going from
it's also the quickest way to get in touch with somebody.
100%. You can get, it takes, make 30 calls and you'll talk to a qualified seller. If that doesn't happen, your tools are probably set up wrong. 30 phone calls and you'll talk to one home seller and if it's an expired list, like they literally tried to sell their home and they couldn't, right? What's the issue, right? If you're calling for sell by owner, even faster, probably 5, you get one because they're not great at picking up the phone. Irony of ironies, right? For sell by owners, right? You'll talk to one, literally has a sign outside saying they want to sell their home. Or you want to take it back to circle prospect. These people aren't hand raisers yet. It's going to take that 30, maybe 50 conversations to find one qualified seller that does want to sell. Okay. Whenever people talk about what's the best lead source, I always remind them of this. These numbers I love these numbers. Okay. 2025, we're going to sell about 4 million homes in this country. Okay. The US this year. More maybe 4.1, 4.2, fingers crossed. We'll see. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a better year than a couple of years ago. Let me just tell you that. 4 million sides. Sorry, 4 million transactions. 8 million sites, okay? 2025. In a down year, this is not a great market to be selling real estate in.
Right.
It's not. 2021 was better, Nick. 6 million transactions. I prefer 2021. Not every year is going to be like that, right? 4 million this year, 30% less than 3 years ago, okay? 4 years ago. And that's 8 million sites. How many adults are party to real estate transactions? At least 2, right? At least 2, but on average, it's about 3. I'm using an average across, because usually sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 2. Average is 3 adults per transaction. Okay, parties. That's 24 million adults are going to be party to a real estate transaction this year. Okay, I've already been 24 million adults. How many adults are there in the country? Round numbers, about 240 million. Okay, round numbers. That means 1 out of every 10 adults in the country was party to a real estate transaction this year. Okay, 1 out of 10. And there's no country in the planet where that's true but the United States. Okay, it's not even close. So if you talk to 10 people on the street, adults in this country, you're going to talk to someone that's party to a real estate transaction in 2025. Okay, and that's just math. And here's the thing, they might not be as forthcoming with you. That's why I say it doesn't take 10 conversations to get one seller. It usually takes 20, 30, maybe up to 50. Because they're not going to tell you, Nick, that they want to sell their home. They might not be forthcoming right off the bat. That's great. The more skilled agents, they get really close to 10 conversations because they're just really good at it, right? Yeah, for sure. But for the rest of us, it takes a few more conversations, right? And that's just calling the phone book. Okay. If you have a list of expireds, of old expireds, absentee owners, downsizers, like anything that increases your odds, those numbers get better. Okay. But even if you were just calling the phone book, Nick, the phone book, every 10 conversations, there's someone in there that's party to a transaction. Maybe on the buyer side, maybe on the seller side, they might do both in a year, maybe. But think about that math. And in 2021, it was like 1 in 7, 1 in 6. Crazy. Okay. Like 1 in 7. Insane. But this year, down year, it's 1 out of 10. Like, think about that, right? Because that should change the way you think about like lead sources and conversion rate. Like, if you just called random people all day, you talk to multiple parties of a real estate transaction, multiple every day, right? So think about it that way. The challenge with cold calling is that it's not easy to do. It's not very scalable, right? You have to scale with people. That's never fun. And agents, as soon as they get some traction, Nick, they get off of cold calling. They'll stop it because it's just hard to do. Okay. I've got an alternative. Okay. A different model. It's like something that Marlene Cedeno did. Marlene is an agent out in Hawaii, 26 transactions in the last year from circle prospecting. And guess what? She just quit cold calling because she has 3 ISAs calling for her every day now. She closes every year 26 deals from calling the phone book in Hawaii. Not a huge population. Well, it's pretty big, but not a massive population in Hawaii. Okay, she's on not even on the Big Island. She's on Oahu, the most populated island, but still it's not LA, right? It's not, it's like a neighborhood of Los Angeles, probably, right? It's a part of LA. She calls people in that area, helps them sell their home in Hawaii. Okay, 26 deals from calling the phone book, and she wants to crush that goal next year. Kill it. And she's no longer cold calling. Why? Because she hired someone to help her out. That's how, right? This is Wyatt, Southern California, one of the toughest markets to cold call in. I'll be honest with you. It's not easy to cold call in Southern California because it's so saturated with agents, with robocalls, with like everybody. 19 million a year from circle prospecting. And he hired not 3, but 1 ISA, and he immediately doubled his output. And by output means how many sellers he was talking to every day. That's all Wyatt needs, to talk to more people. Because he stopped being the caller. He wanted to become the closer, right? Because he just needed to talk to more people. And I love this case study because Southern California is such a hard market to cold call in because it's so saturated. I love it. This is Ben Maines, okay? He got started with 1 ISA, part-time ISA, okay? 4 listings in 60 days. He's an expired guy. I was talking about circle prospecting. These last 2 are circle prospecting, and Ben's an expired guy, right? He just needed more people to talk to. Hired an ISA, immediately started seeing more conversations, and Ben's a closer. Like, he just needed more people to talk to, right? That's how he got 4 listings in 60 days, because he just needed more people to talk to. His guys helped him do that. This is Kia, 5 listings in 6 weeks, right? Expired listings, right? Expired listings as well. Old expireds, newer expireds. Kia just needed more people to talk to, hired an ISA, full-timer, boom. Got an amazing result like that right off the bat, because he just couldn't, there wasn't enough time in the day for her to make more calls. This is how she's growing her business. Last but not least, this is Tucker, another circle prospector, right? Which is crazy. 11 listings in 10 months, right? But here's the kicker, okay? Of those 11 listings, almost all of them came in the last 3 months. Okay. So he went almost 6-7 months with no listings from Circle Prospect. Like, what is that? Because he was building a pipeline. He knew he was making progress. He just wasn't able to capitalize on it, right? Like 5-6 listings in a 90-day span. And he's only going to get better and better and better. He's going to get more and more and more of those, because guess what? Next year, we have the springtime. It's going to be the first time he's calling with this ISA team in the spring. So all those nurtures he accumulated throughout the year, he's going to get an outsized return on that next spring, right? So those 11 listings in 10 months are going to get blown out of the water from his result next year, right? Because he's accumulating sellers. That's the name of the game, okay? Great. So let's assume I've convinced you. Okay, guys, this can work. I get it. I love it. What's next? How do I do this, right? Okay, what do I need to get started and implement this plan, okay? The first question I would ask you is, what is working for you now? Okay. Because if you've never done cold calling, not that this can't work, it can work, but if you've never done cold calling, you've just added one more variable into the equation, right? Because we can help you with this. We have to figure out which source is the best. We got to try expired. We got to try circle. We got to try absentees. We got to try them all and see which one we can get traction on. And that's just going to take more time. That's just additional risk, right? This is why it is so useful to have an agent come work with us that already calls, right? Because when we ask you what's working for you, the answer is obvious. Hey, I kill it with expireds. I've closed 10 of them this year. It's great. Would you like to close 20? Yes. Let's replicate that with an ISA, right? Let's have an ISA call exactly what you call. Let's make that happen. Okay, great, right? If you have a dialer, the only change you have to make with an ISA is you probably have to get a VoIP, an internet phone alternative, right? Because a lot of these tools, the Vulcan 7s of the world, the Red X's, Follow Up Boss, you can dial into them with a voice dial, with a internet dialer, right? You might use your cell phone right now. It's great. ISA is not going to have your cell phone, right? So that's the big difference. Okay, your data source, can you scale it up, right? Because if you're in a market, let's say you're killing it with expireds, great. And your market, you're in Connecticut, you're in New York, you're in one of those like super hot, scorching hot markets where they get like 2 expireds a day. That, if you're doing well with those, that's great. You're probably really high skilled. It's going to be really hard to scale up that lead source if you're only getting 2 expireds a day. Crazy. If you're in another market like, Miami-Dade County, where I'm not going to lie, it's hundreds of expireds, and it's about to become thousands because we're towards the end of the year. From December 15th to like January 15th, you're going to get like the largest spike of expireds for the whole country, especially in markets that have been hit hard, like Florida, like Texas, like you guys know what I mean, right? So they're about to get thousands of expired listings. And guess what? It's going to be hard for even the most experienced agent to call all of those. They're not going to, right? They're going to choose not to. That's a big opportunity. Scale up and give them a call, okay? Because the data source can scale. If your data source is itty bitty small, it's going to be really hard to get an ISA to help you out because there's just not enough numbers to call, okay? You got to diversify. You might have to expand to for sale by owner, circle prospect, absentee, downsizer. There's more of them, right? We can help you out with that. But that's a big, big, big problem you have to solve right off the bat. Otherwise, you're going to hit a wall immediately, okay? And then the scripting part, right? This is where we help our clients out a lot because this is just a tweak to the script. If you're used to having a conversation with a seller and trying to close for the appointment right then and there, Your ISA is not going to do that. Okay. Your ISA. So this is where people get like, what? They can have a double take. What do you mean? I want my ISA to set a bunch of appointments, Gus. Actually, all those case studies I just mentioned, Nick, all like 6, 7 of them right now. Here's the kicker. None of those ISAs called to set appointments. 0% of them. Okay, not 1, not 2. 0% of them call and set appointments. They don't, because number one, that's not their expertise. They might not be as good as you as telling them about the local market, on the reasons to meet with you. No. Then what does the ISA do? They do the most valuable thing they can do. They make the 300 calls to find the 3 motivated sellers that still want to sell. And that's it. Like, that's their job, to make 300 calls so you can make 3 calls. And Nick, of those 3 calls, I bet not all 3 of them, but one of them is someone you should meet with right now. Okay?
So let me ask you this. So like the ISA isn't calling and saying, hey, so, okay, great. So Nick is going to meet you tomorrow at 10 a.m.
at the property.
They don't do that?
They don't do that.
So then how does the conversation go?
Here we go. Great example. That was a great segue, right? So this is how that conversation should go, right? That you're calling expired. It might be a 1-week-old expired. It might be a 3-month-old expired. It doesn't matter. Hey, like ring. Hey there, Nick. This is Gus with ABC Real Estate. I just want to call and ask before you hang up, just because they've gotten a lot of calls from agents. Right. Okay, they don't want to hear Century 21 calling them for the 15th time. Before you hang up, I just got one question. Are you still accepting offers on that property? I'm just curious. Well, you're like going to go, what? Like, yeah, 100%. I just have a question. Are you still accepting? Well, it kind of depends. They're going to say something. They're going to go around. They're not going to hang up on you. That's the important thing, right? They're not going to hang up on you. Okay, great. Awesome. I just had some questions, right? Just want to see if we can bring you a qualified offer on that property, would you still sell? I'm just curious about that. Well, depends, maybe, who knows, right? Whatever it is. Great.
Or they'll be like, well, you had 6 months to do it and you didn't do it.
You didn't do it. I tried to get it sold. No one came up. All your agents are the same. Every other reason. The most important thing there, whether you're an ISA or an agent, is you're not going to fight with them about that. Okay. Like, right. They have their opinion, and a lot of them have a very valid opinion, right? Oh, because something bad happened to them, right? It's not fun to have your home expire, right? It's not fun at all. Okay. So boom. And they got bombarded by calls for weeks and weeks and weeks. They're not a happy camper with agents and what it is. So the most important thing, Nick, is don't take the bait, right? Like, don't debate them on how valuable the other agent was. Who cares, right? It's about them. Okay. And I'm just curious, if we could make that happen for you somehow, would you still be interested in selling, or are you just completely off the market? Wouldn't sell for $1 million? I mean, tell me the truth, Nick. Just be honest with me. You can actually ask her, because actually you sound completely different than every other person that's called them, right? You're actually giving them opportunities to get off the phone. Like, is this your forever home now, Nick? Just be honest with me. Tell me the truth. Oh, I wouldn't say that. Okay, great. Like, because I'm calling on behalf of Nick Baldwin, and he is an absolute beast in this area. You should check out his YouTube channel. I love those things, right? We do this, we do that. We're generating buyers left and right. We want to generate demand. We're just looking for more homes to sell, right? Like, do you think it would make sense? Tell me if this is completely off base, but do you think it would make sense for you to have a conversation with Nick and have him show you how he's generating buyers today? How's he generating demand and can get your home sold? I'm just curious. You think that would be valuable for you? 5-minute conversation, right? And let's see what they say. Shut up and listen to what they have to say. That's the job of the ISA. You think it would be valuable for you to have a conversation with Nick on what he would do to get the home sold? Because he's not like those other agents, right?
So and then what do they say? They say, yes, it would be valuable. Great. I'll have Nick call you.
I'll have Nick call you tomorrow. No appointment, no time. Who cares what time it is, right? It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to lead off to you, Nick. Nick, this guy's, here's a property. He's still interested in selling. He would sell for this reason, blah, blah, blah. Nick, give him a call whenever you can. And it's usually the next day, usually for most agents, right? They can make same day. It might be hard to make that call. Next day, you can probably make some time to make that call, connect with them. And guess what, Nick? They might not pick up tomorrow. Hey, call them again. Like, once you call them 3 days straight, like multiple times, and they're not connecting, you bounce it back to your ISA and get them back on the phone, right? Because but you have to usually don't pick up on the first try. Got to give them a few tries. Send them a text. Hey, you spoke to my ISA, Gus. He said you guys had a great conversation. I'm just curious when you have some time to chat. I love to talk about your property, right? Let's go. Let's talk about it. Have a conversation about it, right? And here's an even better one, Nick. When you get them on the phone, sometimes they don't even remember who Gus is. Like, what? Who cares? It doesn't matter, because you're talking to a confirmed homeowner with confirmed motivation to sell. So who cares if I don't remember the ISA? I don't care. Let's talk. Tell me about your property. Why do you think you didn't sell the first time? What happened there? Oh, wow. Oh, I totally get it. Well, guess what? I'm completely different, because I have, and you got to bring in what you do. I pay a lot of money for Google pay-per-click. I have an awesome YouTube channel. I've got these other things that the other agents are crap. I agree with you, actually. Most agents are crap, but I'm different than most agents, and this is why. And that's how it should go, right? Ultimately, how it should go. Why you've got to have an offer, you got to have a pitch. Otherwise, this is not going to work, guys. These guys have been burned before. If you're just going to tell them how I like the classic Keller Williams, and again, this might have worked a long time ago. I am an expert in getting homes sold the second time around. What does that even mean? Like, tell me specifically how, because I taught that script for a long time, by the way. I'd worked 10 years ago, right? Doesn't work that well anymore. Like, what sets you apart, right? And I'm using Nick as an example because I know Nick is killing it on YouTube, but that's a great example. Like, what is that thing that you do that's different? Oh, I'm a power door knocker. I generate demand like crazy. I just want better properties to sell. But there's like 5 homes in this neighborhood on the market. Yeah, and they're all garbage. I want to see what yours is like. Like, I want to look at your property, right? And I want to talk to you about how to get your home sold. Does that make sense? Well, okay, let's have a conversation about that, right? You got to have an offer for these folks. You got to have a differentiator, and you're going to get their attention, and they're going to want to talk to you. Okay, they'll pick up the next call. They'll respond to the next text. I think that's really, really important. Okay, so jumping into it, might have to tweak that script, but it's just about the ISA handing off what I call a qualified seller lead: confirmed homeowner, confirmed motivation, desire to sell. Okay, that's it. That's the job of the ISA. And Nick, it becomes a game. How quickly can you stack up about 20 of those? Because it takes about 20 of those qualified leads to get one listing.
David on YouTube, who's watching, said, what about a live transfer? Would that be?
You can do a live transfer. That's the best. Here's the challenge with that, Nick. The agent has to pick up on the other end. That's it. And that,
right. That's the problem.
That's the problem. I mean, guys. Come on. We're all agents here. We can be honest here. There's a private conversation, right? So agents are not great at picking up the phone, even if it's like your ISA calling with a live transfer. I've measured this. 50% you're going to pick up the phone. Again, just being honest. It's better to say, I'll have Nick call you tomorrow as soon as he can. Like, just do that.
If you're a busy agent, if you're on an appointment, if you're out with buyers,
you might be in your car and that comes in. Like, I can't pick up the phone right now, right? Yeah. You might be stepping into an appointment with somebody. I can't do. You might be at the doctor's office.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good if the agent doesn't answer the phone.
It looks hard. You're going to lose the lead, is what the problem is. And then you got your ISA saying, I don't really want to live transfer to Nick, but I don't want to tell him because he just never picks up the phone. I don't know what to do now. Don't even get into that.
Right. In theory, it would work. In theory, it would be great, but
it's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever. The problem is, I know agents, right? Like, this is hard to do for a lot of really good reasons. It's really challenging to do.
Because, then you have to have a full-on conversation. You might not be in a position to do that. I feel like being at your computer with the listing open, making the call, so you're able to talk about the property with the person over the phone. And so you sound like you know what you're talking about. It may take several attempts to get this person back on the phone, but it is the best situation.
It is, because it's going to be a good time for you to make the call. Okay. Right. It is confirmed a good time for you to sit down, calmly have a conversation with them. Maybe you already pulled out some comps. Maybe you pulled out something, or you want to come out guns blazing. Hey, I got 15 leads in my CRM that are looking for homes in your property, in that area, right? I'd love to send them your home, but I got to take a look and see what happened. Let's see what we can do here. I've got them. I got people already, right? I just released a video. About your neighborhood a few weeks ago, right? Like, and I didn't feature your home, not yet, but as soon as I would feature your home on my YouTube channel, right? But I want to have a conversation with you first, right? Let's see what's going on. Like, you want to come out guns blazing, right? Sometimes it doesn't even take that much, pressure. It just takes listening to them, like what happened, because most agents don't do that. Like again, empathize, right? Because they didn't have a lot of fun. It was not great. And then figure out if they're still willing to sell. Confirm the information. Like, hey, right? Is this your forever? Like the ISA just did. Like, tell me, Nick, is this your forever home? Are you still thinking of something? Just be honest with me, right? Well, I wouldn't say that. Okay, great. Because there was something getting them to try to sell. There was something there. Are you willing to stay on the phone long enough with them, have a real conversation to dig deep and have them kind of reveal that for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Or if they make it about another way they go, they make it about you. Nick, I mean, why should I listen to you? Oh, okay. Well, then you got to tell them why, right? That's the value prop. Like, and Nick, and people think some people think you have to be like a scripts master at this. Like, actually, I'll be super honest with you, Nick. Volume negates some crazy ninja skill selling thing, right? If you're talking to 1, 2, 3 potential sellers every day, you can kind of be okay at talking on the phone and you're going to close deals. The problem with most agents, they just don't talk to enough sellers every day. Like I said what I said, okay? The problem with most agents isn't because they're not ninja selling skill masters. That's not really it, right? It's the ones that are really successful, they just have more at-bats than you. And they probably get better because of that, right? They're not crazy script masters. Guys, to have a conversation with some of these expired sellers. You think you know your scripts, they know theirs too. And they usually say the same 3, 4 things. That's it. You get a handle about 3, 4 different objections, right? Like, is it a good time to sell or not? I'm going to wait until blah, because I think this might happen. Okay. Well, let's put that to the side. Let me show you what's actually happening in the marketplace. Let me show you right now, right? Let me show you what's happening. I'm talking to sellers every day. I'm talking to buyers every day. This is what's actually happening in the marketplace. And if you can sell now, you want to put your market you want to put your home on the market when everyone in Michigan puts it on the market in April, or do you maybe want to beat them, get a little bit ahead of that curve, right? Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. When you're the only home on the block for sale, things are going to go better for you, right? Or do you want to be on the market when there's another dozen homes in that zip code for sale? Which one would you prefer? Okay, great. Now we're getting somewhere. Have a conversation with them, a real conversation with them. Have a heart to heart on where the market's at, where are they at, and what is the best thing for them to do. Because some of them, they might have to wait. Great. They don't have to because their kid's going to get out of school. The job offer is not until the spring. Whatever it is, perfect, perfectly valid. I'm still your guy because I'm the king of this block, of this zip code, of this neighborhood. I'm the best agent here. Okay? And as soon as you can, get in front of them, even if they're going to list 3 months later, 6 months later. I don't care. Because I believe that in our statistic, Nick, that 60+% of people will work with the first agent they meet with.
It's more than
not
that.
the first agent that calls them. It's more, right? It's more like 2/3, almost 70%. It's not the first agent that calls them, texts them, or sends them a newsletter. No, it's the first one they physically meet in the flesh, right? Because there's something about that human connection that's just going to give you a leg up on everyone else that's trying to call them. If you can get in front of them, and the Nick, bravado, the charisma, the riz is going to come out. It's going to be undeniable, right? And that's true for every agent, not just Nick. And Nick is great, but guess what? You get face to face with a client, and that number starts to kick in. The statistics start to kick in, right? Like I said, the biggest struggle for agents is actually not that they don't have the ninja selling skills. Man, I wish it were. That'd be easier to solve. No, it's you don't talk to enough sellers every day. That's it. Period of the story. That would solve most agents' problem. Okay, yeah. So let me finish up. We're almost done. We're low on time. What should they call? What should your ISA call? Again, if you do calling, this is easy to answer. If you've never cold called in your life, this is a lot more challenging to answer, right? Because there is a spectrum of calling. Circle prospect, the phone book, those are easier calls to make. Those are easier leads to talk to. The challenge is they can be a year out. They can be 2 years out of when they want to sell. Circle prospect, right? That's why it takes at least 4 to 6 months for Circle to really kick in and get you a lot of results. 4 to 6 months for Circle prospect. On the other end of the spectrum, the far end, is expired because they literally said they want to sell their home and they couldn't. Okay. What's the problem? Usually it's the condition of the home, how it was presented, the price of the home, or both. Okay. They're just not making sense, which is why drilling down into motivation is so important, right? Because it's now your job to tell them the truth. Because guess what, guys? The last agent might have given them the wrong price on the property to get the listing, maybe. But at some point, they tried to tell them the truth and they didn't believe them anymore. Okay? That's usually what happens. They misprice a property. They lose trust. Agent says they got to adjust the price and they don't believe them. But guess what? This is so frustrating. It's happened to me, actually. You're trying to get them to get to the right price. They don't believe you anymore. Property gets canceled or expires, and they list with the new agent at the right price. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me because you lost credibility. You lost trust. A person with credibility and trust comes in and they believe them and they adjust the price and the home magically gets sold. Oh my goodness. Guess you told them the truth, right? And they were more open to listening for a new person. That's how it works, guys. I wish it didn't. That's how it works. So you want to be that agent that talks to them if the listing expires. If they're motivated to sell, you got to tell them how. Guide them. Don't give them an unrealistic price. Don't tell them something that's not true. You're going to get nowhere with them, right? Be the person, the agent that has to tell them the truth and up front, and they're going to go, man, we should have worked with Nick from the beginning. He's got it like 100%. Because sometimes they have to let the listing expire for them to kind of come to Jesus moment, right? It didn't happen before. Now it's real. Okay, great. You still want to sell? This is what it takes. Nick, take us home, baby. That's what you want, right? So that's a spectrum. Circle prospect, easier calls, takes longer to close. Expired listing, more challenging call, right? More emotion in it, but they close faster, like way faster, okay? How to find calling talent? Okay, like guys, I don't know if you know this, the economy not doing so great right now, right? Interest rates are coming down. That's great. But interest rates are coming down because things aren't going so well. It's the other side of that coin, right? That's real. That's real. People losing jobs, economy not doing great. There's calling talent available more than there was 6 months ago, more than there was a year ago, right? Because of a lot of reasons. That's one of them, okay? You got to find the calling talent wherever they congregate. Upwork, I love Facebook groups, Indeed.com, onlinejobs.ph. If you like, I'm very partial to Latin America, and because a lot of them grew up in the US, but even folks in the Philippines, they can find people that can do this job. You just got to judge that English really, really well, right? You can post about your job, and you got to screen these candidates. And I'll tell you 2 hacks. Their English level and their cold calling experience, that's it. That's the game. You got to screen for people that have the right level of English, native English, that's what I like, and they've done cold calling before. You don't want to teach someone cold calling for this role. It's way too hard. Leave that to PowerISA. We'll grab those people. You should grab an experienced person. It's just going to go way smoother. And then you got to interview 10 of them. And that's not a number I made up. That is like facts, right? You got to talk to 10 people. They got to make it to the appointment on time. They got to go through some interview questions, ask them about their experience, and then find who you feel is a better fit for you. Cultural fit, team fit, right? If they've got the skills, who's the person you prefer to work with, right? That has a lot to do with the answer, right? And this is the last one, guys. Onboarding and accountability, okay? So important. The first 30 days, I consider the final part of the interview, okay? Like that is it. They should be connecting you with qualified sellers. If they're doing circle prospect, it should be within a day or 2. That's it. That's how easy that script is to learn. Okay. If they're doing expired for sale by owner, that can take a few more days, maybe a week or 2 to get consistent numbers. It can take longer. Okay. But here's how you know the difference. Tracking what I call the 3 C's daily. How many calls, how many contacts, how many conversions every single day. Anything that's wrong with your campaign can be tracked with those 3 numbers. That's all you need. In fact, if someone can share, it's like a parlor trick. Someone shares those 3 numbers with me from their ISA for last week, last month, I can almost tell them what they're calling just based on those 3 numbers, like immediately, right? That's something, that's why it's so important to track them, right? So important because it'll tell you what the problem is. They're not making enough calls. They're not talking to enough people, or they don't have the skills yet to convert them into prospects, right? So important. Listening to their calls. Guys, the first month or 2, you're doing this every day. There's no hack to this. There's no way not to do this, okay? The first 30, 60 days are the most intense, and then you can kind of take your foot off a little bit from that accelerator, right? And move into weekly accountability. But at the beginning, it's daily accountability, right? You want to make sure. And then here's another thing. A really good outcome is your ISA lasts in the role 6 to 12 months. That's a good outcome. So you got to have a pipeline of people ready to go, right? And that, I mean, again, that's why people can hire PowerISA to skip all through this. But if you don't, you can do this 100% on your own. You can. It's just you gotta go through this process because this is how it works, right? 100%.
Yeah, I can tell you that the because I have an ISA from PowerISA, and the training, the training aspect of it is taken off my plate, so I don't have to do it. They have a coach. Their coach role plays with them, helps them with scripts.
Listen to their calls, right?
Listen to their calls, gives them feedback. I don't have to do. I mean, I listen to the calls too when an appointment is set, but and then every couple of weeks we have a meeting like on Zoom. But I don't have to do any of the training. Like I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So, if you want to go at it on your own, fine. But I mean, the leverage is, you can't beat it.
100%, right? Because Nick, you're a killer. You've been in the business for a really long time. You just need more people to talk to. Motivated buyers, motivated sellers, put in front of you, right? Like that's what you need, 100%. And that's what like most agents need. Like I said, if you fail on the industry, right, it is rarely going to be because your listing presentation wasn't on point and you needed this NLP like script. That's usually not it. You just didn't have any listing appointments is usually the issue. You didn't talk to any potential buyers, never talked to enough potential sellers, right? Like this is the true thing because some of the agents that kill it and have great success, Nick, I talk to them, I talk to them and go, well, I mean, they're not bad, but they're just not what people imagine. Oh my goodness. He's like NLP master. They might not even know what the hell NLP even is, right? Like that. I'm talking about natural language program. Like they might not even know what that means, right? But they just had enough ignorance to pick up the phone and make it happen. They just didn't know what they didn't know, and they just plowed ahead and had success, right? So big part of it. So folks, here's some Christmas goodies. Christmas came early, right? So you want to copy this presentation, you can just send an email to info@PowerISA and put in the subject line, stop cold calling. You have to put that in the subject line. Otherwise, it's going to take way longer. Right. So put in the subject line, stop cold calling. I'll send you a free copy of this deck if you want all the information. The information's there, right? The information is cheap. Execution is hard, right? So you can get all the information 100%. This will be on YouTube like today or tomorrow, like right off the bat. And end of year special, 50% off the startup. And most importantly, you can lock in 2025 price for your ISA for like all of next year, right? And that's a tremendous because guess what? Everything gets more expensive every year. I wish it weren't true. It's a fact. Prices are going to go up in January. PowerISA is no different. So my recommendation is, even if you're going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, that's awesome. You're great. Lock in the price and you can get started in January if you want, right? So that's a great promo. We're like 5 minutes over, but I hope it was worth it, guys.
Totally, dude. I mean, I think, if you want to scale, you want to grow, you want to get those appointments, it's either you do it yourself
100%.
or you find someone to do it yourself on your own, or you hire someone to do it for you and coach them and train them and get them up and running. So, and by the way, it's not that much money. You know what I'm saying? Like, 100%. What is it? How much per hour is it, Gus?
I'll say it this way, Nick. For most of our clients, one closed transaction pays for the whole year. For most of our clients, one. If your ISA helps you get one extra deal, it can pay for a worst case. It pays for 6 months of their. It pays for 6 months, right?
I mean, my ISA is calling hundreds of people a day. I don't want to do that. So
it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And I would argue, Nick, that the activity they're doing is a $7 an hour activity. Okay. That's what most ISAs make, $7 an hour. Like, and I feel that agents should be focusing on the $50 an hour activities, the $100 an hour activities, which is talking to motivated buyers and sellers, which is making content. That is $100 an hour activity.
Well, I mean, and then there's, and people go, oh, that's not that much money. I feel like I'm underpaying them. There's other ways to compensate them with bonuses, and that's that's all that makes them happy.
Pay for performance, right? 100%.
Yeah. So you pay for performance, pay for appointment set, pay for a contract signed, pay for closing. So if you're doing it at a high level, then they're going to be happy. So
100%. Love it.
All right, everybody, reach out to Gus, info@powerisa.com, email, subject line, stop cold calling, get the deck, get 50% off your setup fee for, and I mean, listen, the first of the year, that's when all the expires come on. So, you know what I'm
I like
saying?
to call it the Super Bowl of expireds is upon us. The
Yeah,
Super Bowl of expireds, right? So that'd be a great one to jump into.
for sure, for sure. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.